and welcome to Into the Light. I'm your host, Edina Mauvana. Today we have Ranya Ahmed. Ranya is a human design embodiment coach who helps entrepreneurs, coaches, mentors, healers, and women and men grow their online businesses in alignment with their human design while living a fulfilling life. Thank you so much for being here, Ranya. I'm so excited to have you.
Me too. It's my honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation, Edina. I'm
Yes.
so
Well,
excited.
I know, me too. Me too. And I love it when people who are so aligned come together because I was actually just talking to someone about human design the other day, and I still realize that a lot of people don't really know about it yet. I know we have the gene keys and all of these different ways to understand, and obviously astrology and all of that, where what the time and date we were born and why that's important. I'm just so excited because I haven't really dug in deep with a lot about human design, and I'm just so excited to help share and promote the work that you do because I see your posts all the time on social media and educating people and helping people manifest abundance and all of that. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to share my passion for human design and how I use it with my clients to really change their life and give them that personal power back for them to do whatever they desire.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your background because I know right before we were recording, we were talking about you're from an Egyptian background. And yeah, are you also from a Muslim background or a Christian background, or what's your spiritual and religious background? And how did you really incorporate that into what you do now with human design? Because I know that's a big part of it.
Yes, so I was born and raised in Egypt. I'm Muslim, and I moved to Canada about 15 years ago. So I'm in Quebec, close to Montreal.
Yeah.
And so I grew up as a Muslim. I'm a Muslim now. And when I came across human design, I was a little bit skeptical at the beginning. What is that?
Yeah.
But the more I read about it and the more I was in my own healing journey, human design was the cherry on top for me. And when I decided to study my human design, things really started to shift pretty fast from there. And I saw how it would really help me, really take my personal power back and change my life, my relationship with myself, with my husband, with my family. Like it really quantum leaped all the results. And it just made sense for me. And I went on a journey to see what Islam is telling about the energies, just to validate the journey that I was on until I decided that I have a gift to explain human design. And I've seen the results on myself, and I was starting to reading charts for family and friends. And I decided to go all out and help others with
Yeah.
that. And that's why I started to be an embodiment coach for human design.
Yeah, and you said a couple times take your power back. So what
Yes.
does that really mean when people are starting to think about, I know people do mindset work, overcoming limiting beliefs. Even now on a corporate level, employers are starting to really emphasize all of that. So what do people tend to look at when they're looking at taking their power back, and how does that really align with the awareness to know what your human design model is and all of that?
That is a great question. I guess it could come out as different meanings. Some people are looking for love outside of them, and love is actually starts with your self-love, confidence. Again, you're looking for that external validation where you could really validate yourself when you really understand your own gifts and your own superpowers. And human design tells you that. It explains to you how you energetically interact with others, what are your gifts, which are things that you're here to share with the world, but where you can also hold people in and actually whether it's listening to them, being empathetic. So there are so many layers in human design, and when you start this journey, you really understand yourself and you see yourself. It's that permission slip to be who you truly are, because sometimes we grow up in a way that we are trying to perform as it is expected from us. And sometimes we're hiding parts of us that we don't know if it's good or not good. We feel we're not good enough. And you'd be surprised how many people are thinking the same way or feeling the same way, the limiting beliefs and the mindset work and all of that. So it does include that in human design. But I feel that it's such a shortcut tool, because once you know your gifts and you own them, you just start to be your most authentic self, showing up as you are, and you build that confidence within. And then you don't need that external validation. It will just come anyways, because you're just filled with that internally. As the lone manifestation of everything, you're a mirror now
Yeah, you
to
start to
you
attract
become
that
exactly.
vibration into your life. So do you help people really increase their energy, their frequency? How do you help understand what that looks like? And then how do you basically make it in a way that people can understand, like a plan or a step-by-step way to do that?
Yes, that's a great question, actually. As in everything, there's shadow and there's light, right? So
Yeah.
even in human design, when we are cutting down the human design chart into little bits and pieces, you could actually see every part of it, what is its highest potential and where the shadow is. And sometimes we are operating in the shadow. So the inner work and the deconditioning work of unlearning the story that you've been telling yourself over the years and learning the new story of who you truly are, and you start
Mhm.
practicing. That's really the embodiment work of practicing who you are to the
Yeah, it's
core.
like you mentioned the like a blueprint, like your divine.
Exactly.
Some people talk about it like a divine template, a blueprint, or I think in Arabic maybe we think of it like a fitra state. Do you think of it that way as well, where that's really the blueprint or something that we're trying to like authentically embody, basically, rather than the distorted energies or things like that?
Yes, exactly. And again, because it depends on how you are designed, sometimes you have consistent energy within you in some areas in your design, and sometimes you experience that energy from the outside. So I'll give you an example because
Yeah.
this is very common. And when I start talking about anything, I think the easiest part and still maybe the toughest to embody. But to give you an example, one of the human design centers, so if somebody has their chart, they're going to see these like shapes.
Yeah,
One of
like
these
the
shapes.
chakras, right? Sort of
Yes,
system. Right.
exactly. Exactly. Because human design is based on ancient science and modern science, including the chakra system.
Right.
So, one of those centers, it's called the heart center or the will center, and it's about self esteem and willpower. And if you are designed to experience that energy from within you, you have consistent feeling of how good you feel about yourself in
Yeah.
terms of your self esteem.
Right.
And if you don't have that consistent within you, you mostly experience that through others. So if somebody tells me, Rania, you're doing a great job, this is a great podcast, I'll be feeling good about myself. But if I say something and I was like, oh, like, why did I say that? I'll feel bad and it will hit me as if I'm not good enough. So this is the spectrum of when you don't have the energy consistent within you, it starts triggering you.
Right.
And when I started to understand my human design, I have the center totally open. So I'm always on that spectrum of feeling good enough and feeling not good enough at all.
Mhm.
That was a lot of inner work for me. But what I realized is that I'm not alone in that because the majority of the population feel the same like me. The majority of the population don't have that consistent energy.
Mhm.
And if we're looking at the media or, at everything coming at us, you can do better, you can buy the bigger house, you can buy the nicest car. So you're always feeling that you're not good enough, right?
Yeah.
That you need to work harder for that next thing. But what human design gives you is that, yes, there is a shadow if you want to feel not good enough, but you are good enough because we all have these centers. It's just your human experience of this energy. But it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you're not good enough. You are good enough and you have nothing to prove. So that is the mantra for this center. So when you're looking at only the self esteem, there's like a lot of inner work to be done there. But at the end, you have the choice if you want to feel good enough about yourself or not.
Yeah, and I think of it a lot like people talk a lot about regulating their nervous system,
Absolutely.
or yeah, coming into a balanced state emotionally, not getting triggered by a lot of things that are happening. So when we're talking about our self-esteem or where people are making us feel a certain way, I think a lot of that work is really just identifying in ourselves what's happening and then how we can respond and react to it differently. Is that really what you're also showing with the process?
Exactly. And that's where, as me as the coach, is to dig
Mm.
in deeper and ask questions to know, is it really the self esteem or is it the feeling of others that makes you feel that? Because that's a whole other center about emotional intelligence and the way you process your emotions. And is it internally or externally? So when I'm having a conversation with my client, I usually ask a lot of questions to get into the core, and then from there I know, okay, we need to focus more of the work on that center versus this center. Or maybe you're trying to avoid that because of a certain fear, so now we're moved into a whole different center. So like I said, human design has a lot of layers, and that is the embodiment work of uncovering one layer after the other. and
Yeah.
doing that inner work to really come to yourself, to really understand what's happening energetically. And then how can I navigate that to stay in alignment, to stay true to myself, no matter what's happening outside of me.
And I think you mentioned earlier about developing empathy or like signal, like ways to process what's happening for you, not to you. They say like that. And I think of it like you're talking about a lot of different areas of life, right? This could be with a partner and relationships or in finances at work or whatever. Do people come to you where they're really identifying like where they have friction in certain areas and then where they want to fix a problem and then how to develop a system to maybe improve their own emotional intelligence and things like that in that area?
Yes, I've had a lot of clients who are just curious. Can you do a full reading for me? I want to
Uh-huh.
understand. And they just want to start the journey from there. But lately, I have been attracting more clients that maybe have done the readings and maybe have studied their own human design, read the
Yeah.
books, did all the things, but they don't really know how to translate that into their day to day. That's my gift really, is to show them how to actually use that, like you said, with their partner, or maybe in parenting, or maybe in the workplace or their business. So it depends from a client to another what they want to achieve. If they want to become more of themselves, to be able to show up confidently, let's say in their business, sell more with ease, their
Yeah.
own way. Because sometimes we're so stuck into the way we should do things and it doesn't really feel aligned for us, and it causes friction or the feeling of frustration or angry with the process. And then we're not being ourselves. So
Yeah, and then
they
we're
hire me.
resentful, and that's creating those lessons that we have to keep experiencing to heal it, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And when you're working with your clients, are you, I know because you have an alignment cheat sheet, right? That's one of your
Yes.
things where people can find out what do they do when they come to your process? Do they find out where they're able to identify their human design chart? Because I know there's a few different kinds with the manifesting generator and all of that. So can you tell me a little bit about how someone identifies where they need to be more in alignment on those things?
Yeah, the journey starts with generating their chart. So there are
Yeah.
so many free generators. My preference is always Jovian Archive, which is the website that, the creator of human design had.
Oh,
It's
okay.
his,
Yeah.
and it's been there forever and it's very accurate. So that's where they would start, and it would give them the chart and then some basic information like their type. There are 5 different types in
Mm.
the human design, which comes to their energetic aura. And then it shows also the way you're designed to make decisions, because not all of us can follow our intuition in the same way. It's very different. So there are elements like that when it comes to how people see you, how you see yourself. So it gives you that basic information. Now, my cheat sheet is mainly focused on the type. So when they download the cheat sheet, they can understand their type. And I have some journal prompts to help them realize, am I really living by my design, or how can I start embodying more of my design? Like I said, there are 5 different types. There are the projectors, reflectors, manifestors, generators, and manifesting generators.
Yeah.
And we all operate very different.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like I said earlier, we try to perform as expected, right?
Mhm.
And the majority of the population are very energetic people, but some types are meant to work smart, not hard. And
Mm.
sometimes they feel, why am I not able to keep up with the majority of the population? They feel something is wrong with them. So when they look at the cheat sheet, they really understand that they're special in their own way. They're designed to work smart, not hard. And then they have some journal prompts to start helping them come back to that new path, which is really not a new path, it's their path. They're designed to be that way. So they can
Yeah.
start embodying that, because that's really the start of the journey, which is to embody your type and live by your type. And then from there, we start adding more layers.
And I like the journal prompts because that really helps with like sort of perspective, inner introspection on what, what's happening and helps people align with that, with their type and make it feel like it makes sense the way that the world is happening to. I had a question. So when you're doing your chart and I know it's based off of the location and time and date of birth, right? So
Yes.
can you tell me, is it like we're all, I think of it like a fractals, like of God, like of energy or of a source or God, and it's like wherever that was, where you were born and what time is it kind of creates like astrology, right? Can you tell me how it's like similar
Yes.
and different to how we understand the being a source of God and the fractals of light that come in at that time and date that create you the way you are?
Yes. And so it's based on the time of your birth, part of
Yeah.
the chart is, and part 3 months before when you're still
Oh,
in your
in utero.
mom's.
I
Yeah,
didn't realize that.
exactly. So
Interesting.
so it has a lot of elements. So yes, it does have the chakra system, the astrology
Yeah.
and quantum physics. So it has a bunch of different science and quantum physics as well. And basically, when I was looking into human design and I was like, what does that really mean? And all of
Yeah.
that, I went on my own discovery journey and I started to really think about the moon
Uh-huh.
and how the moon has an energetic effect on the tides,
The
right?
water. Yeah. And we're all water, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we are all water. So
Um,
if I could see that with my own eye, then I could also believe that the planets and everything could energetically affect us. And
yeah.
that's what is human design is about. It sees where you were exactly at the time of your birth, where was the sun, where was the moon, where were
Right.
all the other planets, and how can that affect you energetically. And then, like I said, the main goal here for you is to be in alignment no matter what's happening outside of you.
Yeah, I love that. And it's like we all need sort of a template in some ways. Like sometimes people really want to be in astrology and the template of where their sign is and how it's going to make. Also, people get obsessed with it, right? And then you can't navigate. Oh no, I'm not compatible with you. And you start to make yourself crazy because of all of the different complexities of it. So what I like
Yeah.
about human design is it's pretty straightforward. It's not so woo where you're like way in this, oh, is this stuff magic? Is it forbidden? Because even in
Yeah.
Islam, we have a fine line. And I think a lot of
Absolutely.
women, there's people are awakening, and I love how you connected it to your own spiritual and healing journey. I'm
Yeah.
curious, like, how was this really for you? What felt most in spiritual alignment versus other things that are like,
Yeah.
okay, am I going to become really like religious or am I going to heal in other ways? So, what is it about that
Yeah.
brings you in?
So when I started this journey, I really wanted to make sure that I'm following the right path as much as I can. I didn't
Yeah.
want to talk about something that I'll be in trouble for at the end of life. So I went
Right.
on my own journey of trying to find answers in the Quran and to watch a lot of YouTube videos for religious
Yeah.
conversations to find my answers. And I found a lot of videos talking, for example, about the chakra system that yes, we are energy as long as you, at the end, connect all of that to God. God is the creator of all energy.
Yeah. And you
So
don't
it
become so self-centric that it's all about you, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
yes. And when I started my own journey and understanding my own human design, one of the things that I never really understood from Islam is that when God tells us to follow our heart, and like in Arabic we say stefbak. And
Yeah.
to me, I was like, but what does that really mean? It's not think about it, it's follow your heart. And in
Yes.
human design, like I told you, there are several ways for us to really tune into our intuition. And the way I was trying to make decisions was not actually in alignment with me. I was doing it the wrong way until I knew human design and how I'm actually aligned to follow. I have an emotional authority. And then I learned how to do that. So that's just like like really the surface of the iceberg of my journey of maybe 2 years of really like anytime I learned something new, I would go and I was like, but what does God says about this? The manifestation. And there is also, for example, I'll share that because it's
Yeah.
your podcast and it's all about this. And I've never said this publicly, but I'll share the story. So for the portal 88
Yeah,
Lionsgate,
8/8 portal in August. Yeah, the lion. It's
right?
not it's the start of Lionsgate or yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And I came across that on my journey and I was like, what
Yes.
does the Islam says about that, right? Um,
Numerology and things.
yes. And this portal, it tells us the planet Saturn, actually Siri, it's a star, Siri,
Uh-huh.
or Cyrus in English.
Yeah.
Cyrus. I think that's what it's called.
Sirius. Yeah.
Yes,
Sirius.
exactly. And it's in alignment between the sun and the earth, and something like that is
Ah,
on that date. So when I looked, and I was like, okay, what God says about that? And there was actually a verse in, I think it's in Surah, and I don't know it by heart, and I didn't prepare to
yeah,
share it
yeah,
with
that's
you.
okay.
But the meaning of it is that God is the God of Cyrus.
Oh,
And I was like, okay, so if people feel that Cyrus has something with a manifestation on that date, God is reminding us that he is the God of
Good.
Cyrus.
That he is the good,
So
yeah, that there's, yeah, and not to worship
yeah,
something about, yeah,
exactly. So for
other
me, it
than
was like
God.
full circle of always having God with
Yeah,
me in this journey. And it's a way for me to know the gifts that God gave me.
yeah,
And when I do this with my clients, like I've had a lot of clients that would tell me, Rania, this conversation actually strengthens my relationship with God
right.
because they started to, like I said, take their power back and
Mm,
really honor their own way that they have been designed.
yeah.
And it opens up that door of, oh, thank you, God, for
Yeah.
that gift that I now realize that not everybody has. So now how can I use that to benefit me, to benefit others, and all of that?
Yeah, there's a quote I have on, you mentioned the purification of the heart and that cleansing process. And I like to say that the only thing that truly matters in this life or in the next is the vibrational frequency of the heart. So I think of it like that, right? That's something that's in alignment with Islam. It's how we start to understand a lot of the energy and world and quantum energy healing. And like you said, a lot of that esoteric knowledge comes from different templates, like you're saying with human design or astrology, that dive deep into what it means to really be in alignment or be in your divine blueprint or have your heart in a state where the vibrational frequency is raising rather than going in the
Yes,
negative in the lower vibe state.
yes,
Yeah, so
exactly,
important.
exactly.
Yeah, and purifying the heart, like you said. So I love that that was such a big part of your journey. And how about your clients? What kind of, I know you said, how long do they end up working with you in your container? Because I know you have a group container as well as one-on-one. So what do people do when they work with you? For how long?
So I've had, especially at the beginning, I've had a lot of just one session off readings.
Yeah.
I pretty much, I think I did a couple of hundred of those over the last 3 years, three and a
Yeah.
half years. And I love that just to see their jaw drops when they're
They
that's the
understand
permission
the
slip.
reading.
I wanted to hear that because it's inside them, right? And I'm just seeing it in them through their chart. So they can do just one-off session to understand their design, but a lot of my clients now, they want that embodiment of it. And sometimes it takes time. So, my group Telegram for embodiment, I've had clients since the beginning of that group, which is like 8 months now
Oh,
that
yeah.
they've been in there. And I do a lot of like weekly transmissions, whatever inspiration that comes through me, and I share it with them. And then we all contemplate, and there is coaching there as well.
Mm,
And then the one on one, I always recommend at least 3 to 6 months
yeah.
because if you've been living your life for I don't know how long, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in a way, and now we need to unlearn all of that. So it takes a little bit
Mm.
of time. And we need to have that self compassion and patience and self love through that
It's
deconditioning
like
process.
rewiring a little bit, you would say, like a
Absolutely.
rewiring process to learn and then to
Yes.
integrate all of these
Yes.
concepts, right?
Yes. Because you can learn all about human design, but if you don't actually start taking it from your mind and start
Yeah.
actually living it,
And the
you know,
embodiment process.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And so what kind of results are people seeing once they've had their breakthroughs, like your clients? What are some of the best results that people have started to see with understanding and implementing their human design?
I think a lot of things, and it depends on from a person to another and the way they have been conditioned
Yeah.
to live. But really, the main, I would say, goal, the big goal, is a feeling, depending on the type. So if you are a manifester, the feeling that you want to feel in life is peace. You want to feel peace. You don't want like you want to feel easy and peace.
Yeah.
If you're a generator or manifesting generator, you're looking to feel satisfied. So sometimes people are successful on paper, but they're not really satisfied with the work that they do.
Mhm.
So, what we do through that deconditioning is to get them to that end feeling of feeling satisfied. The work that they do, they feel that they're making a difference. And sometimes it's little tweaks. And then from there, everything else falls into place, right? They're happier, they're feeling fulfilled. The frequency of their energy is high. They attract more clients, so more money.
Yeah.
But it all starts with that little feeling that we're all seeking, and it depends on your type. Then that feeling would differ. If it's a projector, they're looking for a feeling of success. If it's a reflector, then it's more of surprise from the universe and what's happening. They're really very sensitive people. and they're looking to be surprised and reflect back at everyone, like how we're doing here. That's their mission, to reflect back at us.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like everyone is a little bit different. I think that that's part of the embodiment process. And like you said, it's interesting to think about the deprogramming. So when you're explaining it to people, what are you focused on, like helping them reprogram or decondition out of? What is the main areas that are people having traumatic experiences that they're holding on to? Like I know we talked about letting go. Is that really what you work one-on-one when they're in session with you?
Yeah, so when I have a one-on-one client, usually we start with a typical, not a typical reading. I call them a human design alignment session. We look at
Yeah,
where they're at, we look at their chart, and we put a plan. Usually, a lot of the deconditioning work or the reprogramming work is in
yeah,
their open centers, like I gave the example about the heart center,
yeah.
because you have pretty much hold on to a story that's not true for you because
Mhm.
you don't have that consistent energy within you. Depending on the chart, it could be in their emotions, it could be in their heart center, it could be in the way they experience fears. So we put a plan from there.
Mhm.
And sometimes you still have that consistent energy from you, but you've shut it down because of what people felt about it. So it depends from a person to another. That's how the work or the plan would be.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
to help them raise their frequency or heal in a certain part. And you said something here very important, traumatic experiences.
Mm.
And sometimes that comes up when I'm explaining the energy or the reason why they're feeling that. Kind of open a can here on things
Yeah.
that may have happened in the past. And that's one of the reasons why I'm also doing a trauma informed certification at the moment, just to
Mhm.
be able to hold more space for them in that area. But sometimes I tell them, you know what, this is when we need to have a therapist to work with
Right.
us together so you can heal that part from the past to be able to unlock your future. So it does come up that some traumatic experience is, we see that when we look at their human design and it comes up. And it's a great thing, to be honest, that we look at it, we heal it, and then
Yeah.
we move from
You
there.
can yeah, you identify where a breakthrough needs to happen and then get resources and whatever needs to occur to have that
Yes,
breakthrough. I think that's a big part of coaching in general is the support and accountability and making when the progress is occurring that it can be supported in all those different ways. So yeah,
absolutely.
because sometimes people
Yes.
are dealing with a lot of trauma, like we mentioned, and things surfacing. So yeah, it can be really difficult. But where can people find you, Ranya, who want to follow you, or I know maybe start the alignment blueprint, maybe even if they do or don't know what their chart is already, maybe they can get their chart, and where would be the best place to then find you and hear about what it means?
Yes, so they can find me, the easiest I think would be Instagram.
Yeah, that's where I see you all
Yes,
the
so
time.
my username there is Rania with a Y dot Ahmed dot business, like BIZ, Rania
Uh-huh.
dot biz. And then on Facebook, it's Rania Ahmed Human Design. So they can find me on either or, and they will find there the links. If the links are not
Yeah,
there, because I'm like maybe selling something different and the free stuff is not up there, they can message me and I'll be able to help them.
okay, yeah, definitely social media. That's what we're here for it. Yeah, we'll have all the links listed under this episode so people can find you and click on that. And yeah, any final thoughts or words of wisdom you like to share before we wrap up, just to leave with the audience for next time?
Absolutely, yes. I feel, everything in life, we need to take what is aligned with us, what feels right for us, and drop whatever doesn't feel right for us. If you're going to take this journey, take it one step at a time, because sometimes we see things and it shocks us, and sometimes we are not ready to take it all in. And like I said, it's a journey and it adds layers. I have been in my embodiment journey for 5 years now, and every time I go back and I read something, I see it more clear than the year
Yeah.
before. So just take it slow. Like I said, self love, self compassion. It's your own timing to find your own truth and enjoy the journey. See yourself, love yourself, value yourself, and thank God for these gifts.
Oh, yeah. I feel like so much of the journey is about how do we learn and understand ourselves better because everything stems from that. This is a great template. It's such a good and accessible and digestible way to understand how to learn and understand our own selves better, right? Which is what we're all trying to do in this ascension process and this global, like the spiritual awakening that's happening. And I think for each one of us, we just need the tools, right? Like we have
Absolutely.
religions, we have belief systems, we have all of this stuff, and we don't want to conflict one with the other. We don't want to do anything that's out of alignment. Like you said, we want to find the tools that are just right for our needs. And I think human design, I'm so excited for the work you do. I think it brings all of that for people to have those breakthroughs like we were talking about, right? I love
Yes,
it so
yes. And thank you for having me here to spread the word. And if I change one person's life, that, I'll be happy.
amazing. Thank you, Rania. We'll hope to have you again soon. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you,
Thank you so
Edina, for
much.
having me. Thank you.
Bye.